Welcome to Kinship Cafe. I am your host, Jim Jones, and today I am joined with Theresa Peterson.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Good.
So you are our first out-of-state visitor to our show.
Yes, I feel very honored. Thank you so much.
We're very excited about that.
Yes, Thank you so much.
So today, one of the things I thought we'd talk about is community, which is a topic I know that's dear to you. But just before we do that, would you like to open us up with a song?
Yeah, I would love to.
Right on.
I dream in the dark. That's where it's easiest to do. I wake in the storm sometimes. They happen more frequently than they used to. I read in the mornings, 'cause lately I have time and space. Go to work, to the store, but I don't even know what for, 'cause there's a feeling I can't shake, and I do everything I'm supposed to, and I try to like it that way. I try harder than I ever had, but I still feel like there must be some mistake. I talk to myself, trying to be kinder these days. I talk to the birds out the window, 'cause they don't care what I say. More and more, I'm just looking for companionship. I don't want to get deep in anything. I just want to walk beside a friend and be glad that I am walking with them.
That was wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Is that an original song that you played?
It is. Yeah, one of my newer ones.
Oh, what's it called?
I Dream in the Dark.
I Dream in the Dark.
Yeah.
I like it. So it had a very interesting kind of feel to it. It made me kind of think a little bit about Joni Mitchell maybe and some things along those lines.
Yeah.
Are those some influences for you?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't listen to Joni Mitchell till I was like 25 or something, but I've really gotten into her since then.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Are there any other influences that you like?
So many. Yeah, a lot. A lot. The other night I played and someone said that the lower end of my voice sounded like Mary Chapin Carpenter, and I was like, oh, music to my ears. What a compliment. Yeah, because I used to really like her. My mom really liked her when I was growing up. So.
Well, that's great. And anything that the song is about or anything behind it you'd like to share?
That was one song that just came to me pretty quickly. Some songs just sort of fall out almost, and then some songs you're really chipping away at them for a week or two or more, and at least for me. And that one just came together kind of quickly, and it's kind of a solitary song, but maybe just about appreciating everything and appreciating the smaller things. Yeah.
Dreaming in the dark. In the dark.
And appreciating just taking a walk with a friend, just spending time, just being solo, just being quiet, things like that. Kind of. I think it's musing about that.
I like it. We need that time, don't we, to recharge and collect ourselves. But also, I think the idea of taking time to really appreciate and be aware, becoming more mindful of what's around us and all the good things.
Yeah, it's amazing how much we need quiet, but especially how much I need quiet as an artist. And I've noticed that when I don't have that quiet time and that space to myself, that I really am not able to create as much or as well. And then when I get that space back, like suddenly, like that's when everything really starts coming together.
Yeah. So I'm just kind of curious, you made me think of something when you said that. I know some musicians have a really hard time being in front of people or in crowds because they're kind of, more of a, solo in their approach to things. Are you one way or the other, or do you appreciate both, or how do you kind of fit on that spectrum?
Knowing other people that I feel like you're describing better, I feel like I am someone that appreciates both, but I need time by myself, and I really, I really need it to like prosper and to think. I really appreciate that time on my own. I don't know if it's because I'm an only child or because it's just like I just am that way, but I appreciate doing things independently. I drove out here by myself.
Oh, did you?
And and I really enjoy doing that. I love solo road trips, and I'm generally pretty good just doing my own thing, but I think I need people as well, and I have fun. I have fun at gatherings too, so I can go either way a little bit.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah. So you told me in Boulder you run a project, Boulder in the Round.
Yes.
And why don't you tell us a little bit about what that is?
Yeah, it's a songwriter showcase. It's held at E-Town Hall. So E-Town has a nationally syndicated radio show on NPR, actually, and has for several years. And so we're a co-production with them, and it's a songwriter showcase. We have 3 different songwriters every month, so no 2 shows are the same, and mostly local people, occasionally touring people as well, but mostly local music, all original music.
Nice.
So originals only, and it's like a round robin, so they go down the line, each one, and it's a really special thing, and it's been kind of a hit from the start, I think, because I think people were really ready to have that show. We have a really supportive community there and a really good crowd of songwriters there.
Nice.
Really amazing talent there, so it's been good.
Well, I know Boulder draws an interesting crowd. I'm assuming they've got or do they have kind of a thriving musical community there?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And there are different pockets of things. It can be really bandy or really bluegrassy. But in Boulder, at least, there's a lot of folk and a lot of really talented songwriters. So it's not hard to put together good shows of people with good people.
It's been a while since I've been there, but I remember like walking out on Pearl Street and just hearing musicians almost on every block, or somebody juggling or doing something.
Oh, it's still there. I was just telling someone about that the other day. Yeah, it's still going.
Nice.
It's fun. Yeah.
So, one of the things that you had mentioned when we were talking on the phone about this is that part of the reason you're involved in it is community is an important issue for you. So maybe we can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, just I think one of my passions is that I found through kind of falling into the role of running that show is building community between songwriters and music appreciators, between music appreciators and each other, just all the way around. And kind of rather than, and being the one who books that and hosts that, rather than building the perfect bill every time and building a good show every time, build the thing that builds the good show, which is people knowing each other and appreciating each other and supporting each other and inspiring each other and getting up there and really knowing each other's music and really listening to each other. It's a listening room show for the audience and for the players too, because you're kind of all stuck up there together while each other's playing. So.
Well, I know in some other events that I've been to where they do an in the round kind of a style that there's often playing off of what each other's doing.
Yes.
So being able to pay attention to what's happening and flow with the direction that things go.
Yeah, totally. And so I've always tried to book it in a way that I'm picking people who I know really support each other and really listen to other people and are interested in what other people have to share, not just interested in playing their 6 songs at our show because it's a good show, but interested in like who's sitting next to them and who's coming to that and who they can connect with and who they can build this and how they can build this thing with us because we're growing. So.
Yeah. So does this community then go beyond the show?
Yeah.
How does it go outside those bounds?
Well, I see people that meet each other at the show, ask each other to do other shows with each other. They make friends and they ask them to open this show for them or, just connect them with this person or, Heather Lynn connected us and Heather Lynn has played our show, but I've connected with her and then she connects me with you and just, I connect her with my other friend, just like vice versa. Just, getting together on everything.
Well, last time she was out here, we were shooting to have her on the show, and then, as happens sometimes, it fell through at the last minute. So we're still hoping to get her out here.
I hope she can. This sort of thing really makes me think of her and her story-dwelling show. So this kind of thing always makes me think of her. But she's a good friend.
Yeah, she's a great lady, and really enjoyed working with her on some other projects in the past. So looking forward to maintaining that relationship.
Yeah, that's good.
So community, I think, is vital. Like for Kinship Cafe, even the word kinship is all about how we're trying to recognize our connectedness.
Yeah.
And the more that we recognize that connectedness, the more we can, work at creating the kind of life where it really fosters that, and ultimately after this idea of well-being and how can we experience that in ourselves, but also socially, communally, how can we grow that sense of well-being and fulfillment. So music for me is something that I think is really important when we go down that road. One, because it communicates at a level that it transcends all sorts of boundaries, which is so important today, definitely. Right? Because we've got so many divisions and so many people that are just not hearing each other. It kind of sneaks in under the wire, right? But also it can help paint pictures for our imaginations to be able to even perceive of something different than what is. Mm-hmm. Right? Sometimes the hardest step is, what does it even look like? How can I envision it? And so I think that the arts and music are going to be crucial for any kind of like social transformation. And I'm wondering, do you look at music in those terms at all, or have you gone down the road of thinking about with your music how we create those visions or create that space for community or well-being?
I mean, not specifically, but I know that it does.
Okay.
You know? I know that it does. And
So maybe kind of like what you're saying with your show, that you work on building the connections because that'll end up being a good show.
Yeah.
So maybe not focusing on those topics ends up creating product that reaches those goals.
Yeah. Well, you know, actually, though, I have seen it build connections between, you know, I think every music community sort of has pockets of itself. And this pocket kind of knows this group, and this pocket kind of knows these people. They run in these circles, and they run in these circles, and, you know, all around. But I really have seen it connect those circles. Where, you know, people that have been around in Boulder a long time doing music are put on a bill with somebody that's newer, and then they're seeing those people, and because they have to. I mean, they're the show with them, you know, but they're sharing a bill. Whereas normally maybe they wouldn't have had a chance or wouldn't have had like a reason to talk to each other, or to find each other really.
Yeah.
But it. Yeah, I have seen it kind of cross those boundaries of these people play like these places in this show, and to you know, newer people that haven't played things like that but could, you know, and kind of the boundaries between those like different tiers of musicians a little bit.
Right.
I have seen that happen a little bit with it. But.
So what are your thoughts about the relationship of music to well-being in general?
I think that all of us that do it, I mean, I think most people that I know that it's connected to that. And I think that all of the songwriters that I know, and at least for myself, it's just that is a crucial part of feeling well and feeling like our authentic self, and feeling able to express yourself is really important to well-being, and feeling everybody wants to be heard and everybody wants to feel seen. And when you have, you know, you're doing art and creating it and sharing that with people, and they're able to like recognize that and see that and appreciate that, that makes you feel heard and seen. And that's really important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I don't get super involved with it, to be honest. But
the political side of things.
Yeah, the political side of things. But yeah.
Well, it can be pretty challenging these days because there's some pretty short fuses on both sides of most issues anymore.
Yeah, and I can see where even the way that I can see where even you know, the way that I feel about stuff, I will have trouble talking to people that see it the opposite.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and I want to watch myself on that, because I don't want that communication to be lost just because it's not working out. Like I want it, you know, I want to be someone that hears people out.
Yes.
And it's hard sometimes, but I want to be that.
Yeah. So are there any techniques or things that you use to try and help maintain that openness?
I'm not sure. Just trying to be aware.
Okay, so just making sure you're staying aware about how you're feeling and what you're sensing from other people.
Yeah, just having the self-awareness to not jump to answers about things, and not jump to your own conclusions about things. To try to see it in a different way, like you were saying, like to try to envision that different way than what is in your mind.
Yeah.
And see where it could be different to somebody else's mind.
Right.
Yeah,
I think, I've definitely been impacted like everybody with the challenges politically in terms of just how divided everything is.
Yeah.
And like you, I've tried to put my feet in other people's shoes to try and get a sense of where they're coming from or why they might appreciate different perspectives, and it is challenging. You've got to really decide that you want to, right?
And keep deciding.
Yeah. Keep deciding. But then, I think sometimes people are worried that exposing themselves to other ideas might infect them or something, right? So it's just being okay with being exposed to different ideas and hearing them, I think, is a powerful thing too.
That's true. Yeah, to not be afraid that you could change your mind about something.
Yeah. I think that's a big one too. Is not if perchance you are persuaded by some different perspective.
Yeah.
To be okay with that.
Yeah, to be interested in that instead of putting a hand up to that. Yeah. That's interesting.
We've talked on the show many times about some of the benefits of mindfulness practice. And one of the aspects of it that we talk about is really learning to break down kind of this perception cycle where there's some event that happens, and then we're usually not aware that there's our interpretation of what that event means, and then there's our reaction to that interpretation. But what is really, or not what really, but what we think is going on is that we're having a reaction to the event. We don't realize we're having a reaction to our interpretation of the event.
Right.
So just kind of slowing things down enough to realize, okay, this event is in some sense kind of neutral. I'm interpreting it some way, and that's causing me to feel one way or the other, right? And so the more we learn on how we adjust that interpretation phase, dial that in, that will have a tremendous impact on how we feel about things. So when we're thinking about how we engage with people from different perspectives, if we just kind of listen for, I'm feeling this way right now because of how I'm interpreting what they did, right? Then we have that opportunity to kind of adjust that knob a little bit and say, well, what if I, give them the benefit of the doubt? Or what if I try to understand why they're thinking that? Then all of a sudden, I'm not having this emotional reaction. Hopefully I can have more of a response.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way to think of that, actually. Yeah, that you're reacting to your interpretation of the event. That's a good way to think about it. I've been getting into more, learning about more mindfulness practices and meditation and, just exploring myself in that way, exploring people in that way of I'm having this reaction to it. Even to just sort of sit back and say, I can tell that I am really feeling this. I'm really reacting to this way, and be curious about that.
Yeah.
Don't just run with it, just be like, oh, wow. It's interesting that makes me feel this. Yeah. Yeah.
It allows you to kind of step back a little bit, doesn't it?
And
then you can have more of a reasoned approach to how you respond, hopefully, rather than just react.
Yeah, and it's important to let yourself feel things, to not just try to logic through, kind of take yourself out of that moment of feeling. That's something that I've been learning a lot about, is that in my mind, I like to think my way out of feeling some things sometimes, and asking all the questions and left braining the whole thing away, kind of just, rather than just letting yourself feel that and just holding space for that and whatever you feel, just okay, just let that happen.
Yeah.
I kind of try to think, why am I feeling that way, and why did that person do that, and why this, and what about this, and try to go all these different directions, with questions and logic and reasoning and stuff. So I don't know. There's a balance somewhere in that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, totally.
And I think that part of, that balance, we might talk about it as emotional regulation, which isn't about how do we stop from feeling or try to go totally logical.
Yeah.
Right? But it's understanding the significance of how these how these emotional things, like what's bringing that about.
Yeah, what's driving that?
Because the emotions is kind of like it's like a check engine light.
Mm-hmm.
It's like trying to get your attention that something is out of stasis.
Right.
And so, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting way of looking at all of that. I think that's true. Yeah.
I know when I was younger, I was a big fan of the original Star Trek. And, you have Spock, which is all logic and reason, and you've got Kirk, who's kind of a hothead, And I remember thinking it was all about, you got to be more logical. You got to, just not even have the emotions. But then,
yeah, I think a lot of people think of it that way. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and I think it feels risky, maybe, or vulnerable to maybe have a sense of not being in control, which you sometimes are when you're feeling strong emotions. But what's interesting is that when people have different types of brain damage from whatever has happened to the point where they're not actually able to have emotions, they can't make decisions.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. That logic part, even still, requires that emotion part in order to actually decide on things. So you can't have it without emotions. You have to have them, but I think it's how we kind of manage them and recognize what they are so that we can attend to what they're bringing to our awareness, as opposed to feel like we're driven by external forces or something.
Yeah, to have them be in the mix, but not driving the whole thing.
Yeah. And like you said, having that more of awareness of, what am I feeling and why?
Yeah. Another thing that I've learned about recently is to really take it apart more specifically. Like, do you just feel bad, or what are the words that really describe that? Are you frustrated? Are you sad? Is there a part, or parts too? Like, is there a part that's disappointed? Like, when you really break it down into the real words of it too, like when you try to make yourself do that, I think that's really helpful too. Yeah,
there's a book and some fellow practitioners I was traveling with for a while that were doing this what's called nonviolent communication. Trying to think about the guy's name now. Don't remember. It's been a little while. But anyway, one of the things that was very interesting there was kind of building your emotional vocabulary. Because a lot of us, maybe more so on the men's side, who kind of tend to bottle things up, we don't dive deep into thinking about what am I actually feeling and what is the right word for it. And it was very interesting seeing this long list of words that you could use to describe different emotional states that I was completely unused to thinking about. What I'm saying, but it's really helpful to describe it more specifically, because I think that can really lead you to finding out what's causing that too, or what the root of that is. And then finding the root of things too, that reminds me of, I like to hear about people's dreams, and I like to interpret people's dreams. Really? Yeah, because I think dreams are all about the root feeling that you have in the dream. When you're flying, or you're falling, or you're you forgot to turn something in, or just like we just all have those dreams, and I think it's just about, like, my mom tells me some weird ones that she has sometimes, and I just always am like, well, what was the feeling that you had in there? And that's usually connected to something that you're expressing from your daily life in your dream life, I think. Yeah. So maybe we're back at I Dream in the Dark.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all connected.
By the way, the author I was thinking of before is Marshall Rosenberg.
Oh, you're great that you can think of those things. I would never remember things like that.
Well, it was very interesting and I think helpful for shaping some of the ways I think about things early on because of how it addressed those emotional questions.
Yeah.
And how to think about communicating in ways that are nonviolent, and that sometimes with our communication we can be coercive or hurtful or not even really intending to be.
Yeah.
But sometimes if we're not really thinking about what we're saying, it can come across in ways that we don't intend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it was a good book, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm really into learning about all of that stuff. I kind of always have been, but like especially lately, just getting into learning more about that.
So with the dreams, I didn't mean to take us too far off track from that.
That's fine.
Was this something like when you say interpreting them? Is this just kind of like, how did that come about? Like, what made you think I can interpret this?
Oh, just casually.
Okay.
I don't run a side business interpreting dreams or anything, but just like casually. Because that's just my philosophy about it. Of like,
Gotcha.
Like what was the thing that you remember feeling about whatever you were dreaming? Because you can be dreaming anything, but there's usually some root feeling, some feeling that you're getting in that dream, whatever you're doing, that has something to do with your daily life.
So you think that the dreams are a way of processing something that we're not facing consciously?
Yeah. Or even if you are, it's just kind of, even if you are approaching them in your waking life, I think it's kind of just extra expression that's happening there.
Yeah.
Because your mind's still going.
So maybe we don't have as many filters when we're dreaming, so we can explore it in different ways.
I think that's definitely true. I think that's definitely true. I think it would be amazing if we remembered all of our dreams. The things that we would find out.
Yeah, it's funny. Once in a while, I feel like I remembered a dream, or especially when I first wake up, I have a little bit of a sense of it. But I'm not one that frequently remembers, or especially in any great detail, much about my dreams. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
I don't really know either. I know that lately it seems like the things that I've been reading point to that I should be remembering my dreams more often.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that it has to do with like one of the health of like one of your chakras to like to remember your dreams more clearly. And I often don't, but now when I do, it makes me think about it more. Like, oh, well, this must have been more active. And
so are you trying to be more intentional about remembering your dreams? Do you think that makes a difference, or what changes when you do versus you don't?
I don't know, because I just am getting into that right now. But so I'm still kind of learning a lot about that. So I'm not totally sure, but because I don't remember them every day, it makes me think like, oh, what was different about yesterday or last night or today that I did now? And or maybe what's important about that dream or something that it's still with me as I'm waking up now. I don't know. I think it's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I do a lot of study with like neuroscience stuff.
Oh, really?
And it's fascinating to think about like what happens when you sleep, or even why you sleep. You know,
Yeah.
it's kind of a strange thing that we sleep, right?
But
there's so much this like processing that happens. It's almost, I also do lots of things, but I'm also a software engineer.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you have to manage with large databases is things like indexing in order to have effective ways to recall the information and have access to things.
Yeah.
And so I wonder, if there's some of that kind of an idea that's happening where we take our daily experiences, our short-term memories, and there's this integration process into that long-term.
Totally, yeah.
Right? And we're building those connections so we can have recall kind of stuff. Because there seems to be something with sleep and memory.
Yeah, absolutely.
And how long we remember things. So.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, if you don't sleep the night before, your memory's not going to be good the next day, and you are going to feel really disorganized, usually, or more disorganized than usual if you don't sleep. It's because all of that, indexing, integrating time, you've missed out on that now. You're running short.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that makes sense.
And after you learn, too, right? To allow it to kind of
take
it all in.
To absorb. Oh, I remember learning about things like that, studying, like in college and stuff. Like, you have to sleep. You should do this right before you go to bed and, like, sleep for this long. And having to do things like that. I studied speech therapy.
Oh, really?
In school, actually. Yeah, I did. Both my degrees in that.
What drove you to want to go that direction?
I think it was... Well, it is a really good job, and had a lot of qualities that I liked about it. It was very versatile, too. Like, you can really work in so many different settings with so many different kinds of people and so many different topics, too.
What does a speech therapist do?
Well, you can be anywhere from, like, helping people with stuttering, voice disorders. Swallowing is under our scope of practice. Like,
really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So
like
treating.
Somebody's had a stroke or something. Needs to relearn how to do that.
Yeah. So maybe they have like unilateral paralysis or weakness or something, and showing them strategies while they're healing to do that. And you can do schools. You can do long-term care. You can do babies. I did birth to 3 home health. So that's like kids that either aren't talking and their parents don't know why yet because all their friends' kids are talking at that age, or they're just they're talking and nobody understands them. So
wow.
Yeah. So so I did that. I did that for a couple years when I moved to Colorado.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sounds really fascinating, actually.
It's a great topic. It has a lot, but I also picked it because it checked all of boxes, kind of like it used every school credit that I had, and it was sciencey, but not like so sciencey that I felt like my brain was going to break. It had that like neural component to it, but but wasn't just like physics that I couldn't do and didn't feel very good at. So I did that for a while, but I eventually decided that music and teaching music was more my path.
So, one, do I need to feel self-conscious that you're analyzing my speech patterns?
I'm not really doing that right now.
But two, how did the singing and speech therapy come about? Was one before the other, or did it lend itself to helping you with singing, or how does that fit together?
I think they help each other. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think knowing about them does help each other. I've done music all my life, and I played violin since I was 3, and like guitar since I was 11, and was writing songs since then too. And I always wanted to sing, was always singing as a kid.
Gotcha.
And so that really precedes anything. Music really precedes anything. But I think they lend little things to each other. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, and maybe gave you some interest in thinking about how all that works and what happens when it's not working properly. Yeah,
well, I definitely noticed people's like vocal quality more than I would and before, and I know more about that anatomy. So I think now knowing about speech therapy stuff, like it does make me think about singing in a different way a little bit. But music's like the thing that I've just been doing all the time, the whole time, whether I had time to or not.
The passion.
Yeah.
Well, it definitely shows, and I've really enjoyed your music that I've heard online as well as what you did tonight. Thanks. And I'm wondering, would you be interested in playing another song for us?
Yeah, I would love to.
Fantastic.
It feels like a good night to sleep in your clothes. TV's still going, playing some show. You don't even like it, just like the company. Feels like a good night night to dish with your friends on how the night ended over a drink. You don't even like it, just like to hold it in your hand. As if one more round wouldn't be enough time to say everything that's going through your head. One more sleepless night won't be enough to show that someone that they don't know what they had. It feels like a good night to sit by the lake, campfire making everything warm, everything right, like you've never been lonely. It feels like a good night to look at the stars wherever you are, and know you're a part of something greater, so you don't have to be lonely. You make one more wish on one more plane. No, it's not a star, but you want it to come true. One more line of the song you sing, and you realize no one's listening to you. But what can you do? It feels like a good night to hold your own hand, make your own plan, pick up a pen and write your own ending, 'cause this is your story. It feels like a good night even when you're tired and everything's hard and nothing's for sure, except that you're alone tonight. And it still feels like a good night. Like a good night.
Theresa, another beautiful song. What's this one called?
This is It Feels Like a Good Night.
Oh, a lot of nighttime themes going on here.
That's true.
Yeah.
This one has crickets on the recording, actually, though, because we were at my friend's house recording it, and he lives up in the mountains, and we had the windows open, and if you have it up enough, you can actually hear the crickets
Is that
in
right?
the background. Yeah, at the front and end of it, I think. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wouldn't happen to be up in Netherlands, would it?
Lions.
Oh, Lions.
So
yeah.
similar.
Gotcha.
Similar. Yeah.
I love living up in the mountains. It was a nice time when I was doing that.
Yeah, I do love it. I love California too. Like, your plants really enchant me here, but I love the mountains, and I always have. I'm there because I always wanted to be there. And it was fun recording the songs that we did for that album up there, and getting to sing to a room and just look out the window at all of it on these like beautiful spring days. And I decided that's how I like to record now.
Well, yeah. I don't blame you.
Yeah.
So what's this song about then?
This song I wrote in one sitting in about 30 minutes after getting home after a day just like that of singing to a room. As when I was recording a couple singles, actually, in a different room, in a different house, but singing, just looking out the window at the beautiful views, and doing that all day, and getting home and being too tired to make anything for dinner. And I literally just remember rounding the corner of my apartment with my little, frozen dinner and just sitting down on my floor, and it was another one of those. That's funny that I played both of those. That they're both ones that just really came out that way.
Yeah.
Just sort of a quick thought, a quick expression, but just kind of about being alone and being okay with that and being open to that.
I'm detecting a theme.
Yeah. I think there is a theme of that on this album for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and is this one out yet?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, in this past August.
Okay. And can people find this like on iTunes or where?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, if we have iTunes anymore.
Oh.
Yeah.
iTunes. Oh, because they're doing like Apple Music or something like that?
Yeah, it's going away, or it just did go away, yeah. But yeah, it's on Spotify and online, Bandcamp, all of those type of things.
All the usual places.
Yeah, all the usual suspects. It's out there.
And is it under Theresa Peterson?
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I have really enjoyed our conversation today.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for traveling all the way from Colorado to come out here today.
Thanks for having me. It's been great.
Yes.
Really appreciate it.
Maybe we'll have a chance to have you back again.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'll travel to Colorado.
Hey, if you come through, definitely. That'd be great.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again so much.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, everybody. Be well.